So like, I think. Yeah, I got a lot.
Got a few work days in class. No, you have a few more than that.
No, I mean, I did like 5 days, but there's a bunch of days. I did the whole like how you feel first. Yeah, so I got all that shit.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I'm not doing it. I'm sorry. There are all. I
Oh, wait, are you gonna? Oh,
Well, you don't know. For special circumstances.
Oh,
To prevent more people without it.
I need to.
In your period. Don't do it, don't do it, he did it, he did it. Walked in front of the camera.
Oh, it's recording.
Yeah. I guess.
I woke up in the morning and I worked out. I like. I'm not gonna. Oh, is that freaking sweat?
All right, let's go ahead and get started, actually. All right. I have allergies, so I'm a little congested today. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be awesome. Come on in, Henry. Come on in. Come on in. Sit somewhere. Stand in the back. Standing room. Anywhere. Come on in. Come on in. Don't be weird. All right. So the AP is, this unit covers two things, really: the Cold War and globalization. Not that many questions about globalization. There are a few, pretty easy though. But the primary stuff is the Cold War and decolonization. So for the test, you would need to know causes of the Cold War. There are kind of two big causes, one immediate and one long-term cause of the Cold War. Talk to your neighbor. What are any causes of the Cold War at all? Yeah, but like, what's the broader kind of thing going on? It's a good piece of outside evidence. It's not going to be on your multiple choice. So, what are any causes of the Cold War? What are any causes? Yeah, Austin, what's one? So kind of those tensions over ideology, communism versus capitalism. Kind of speaking about World War II, though, kind of what were other controversies about the Second World War? Yeah, Carter. So yeah, that tension existed for sure. But after the war is over, kind of what are some things that still remained in Eastern Europe? Yeah, so how to reorganize Europe after the war is over. Because the Soviets were doing what in Eastern Europe? What did they keep in Eastern Europe? Yeah. Yeah, they kept their military and they helped build communist governments in Eastern Europe. So in response to that, the United States had a foreign policy to limit the spread of communism. What's that policy called? To prevent it from spreading, to containment, exactly, yes. Containment, the restriction of communism to just Eastern Europe. And that answers that question right there. What is containment? All right, so USSR and the USA. These are two of the big superpowers after World War II. What continent declined in its importance after World War II. Before World War II, this place had all the colonies everywhere. It had all the influence everywhere. Yeah. Western Europe, yeah, Western Europe, no longer a major thing anymore. The two superpowers are the USA and the Soviet Union. All right. And these two places, they are defined by their systems of government. USA, what kind of government, what type of economy does it have? Capitalism, yeah. Whereas the Soviet Union, what type of economy? Communism, aka a planned economy. So more government control over the economy. All right, that pretty much was that. What's a second world country? What's a second world country? What's a first world country? Yeah.
First world is like the US allies.
The US and its allies, so they are capitalist countries, second world countries. What are those then? Yep.
Communist allies.
Exactly, communist countries and their allies, and then third world nations. What's another name for third world countries? Yeah. Or what are we gonna say? So in other words, they are non-aligned countries. Exactly, that's good. Bless you. God bless you. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, etc. All right, why didn't these US and the Soviet Union engage in proxy wars? Why didn't they just outright fight each other? Yeah. Boom! The world would go up into smoke if they actually fought each other. So rather, they engaged in proxy wars. What's a proxy war? What is a proxy war in general? Yes, sir.
Where they essentially like try to influence their ally, but they don't outright like go to.
So there's a war going on within a country, but rather than directly getting involved, they're giving support for one side over the other. And they're doing that again to prevent nuclear devastation. Great stuff. All right. We did that. What is similar and different between the League of Nations and the United Nations? Talk to your neighbor. What's similar, what's different between these two organizations? Discuss. Go around. Okay, you're on camera. Just go. All right. What's similar between the UN and the League of Nations? What's a big similarity between both? What's similar? Yes, Bella. They were created after a major world war, sure. Anything else that's similar? Yeah. Their goal was world peace. All right, what's different about both the UN and the League of Nations? Yeah. What's kind of a more quantifiable difference between the UN and the League of Nations? Yeah.
They're able to reduce the conflict to just regional.
Regional conflicts rather than international ones. That kind of answers that. What else? Yeah. Exactly. Unanimous vote in the League of Nations, majority vote in the UN. What else is different with the UN compared to the League of Nations? Yeah, Austin.
UN had like a security council and like.
Yeah, there's more Security Council, kind of a peacekeeping force. Any other differences in terms of the amount of countries in one over the other? Yeah.
More countries like in the UN than in the.
Because of why are there so many new countries around the world? Yeah. Because of decolonization, exactly. Great. So, China, how did it industrialize? How did it attempt to industrialize? Who was the leader associated with the attempt at industrialization in the 60s? Yeah. Yeah, and the Great Leap Forward, that who led that? What Chinese leader? Mao, yeah. And Mao is most comparable to what other communist leader we've already talked about back in Unit 7. Yeah, Stalin, exactly. Stalin similar to Mao. Under Mao, we saw a lot of government control of the economy, so a planned economy. However, by the 1980s, and you do need to know after the 1980s, generally, what are governments doing in terms of their control of the economy after the 1980s? What kind of happens to the economy? Yeah. More laissez-faire, free market, exactly. That's true in the United States, that's true in China as well. Deng Xiaoping, he is going to open up China to outside countries to trade with, to develop capitalism in China. And who is he most similar to? What other communist leader merged together communism and capitalism together? Lenin, yes, Lenin was the answer. Someone said that, great. All right. Generally, East Asian countries are going to industrialize and have free market economies after the 1980s. That's just a general true thing. All right. There are two types of Middle Eastern nationalism. Arab nationalism, which is secular. What does secular mean? Not religious. The other type of nationalism is Islamic fundamentalism. What that means is a group of people want a country to have its laws based on Islam. It is a religious nationalist movement. Arab nationalists tended to be secular. All right. Fundamentalism is going to increase after the Cold War for a couple of reasons. I want you to actually talk to your neighbor. Why might Islamic fundamentalism have increased after the Cold War? What might be some causes of that rise of Islamic fundamentalism? What do you remember? Talk to your neighbor.
Oh, yeah.
They were kind of a third world sort of thing, so they combined together both elements. Generally, if it's not North America or the Soviet Union, they mix together both systems. All right. So why might there have been Islamic fundamentalism after the Cold War? What might be some things that might have made some terrorists mad in the post-Cold War era? Yeah, Austin, what's the US had military bases in Saudi Arabia, also gave a lot of military support to what country? Israel, yeah. So military support for Israel, stationing in the Middle East. But during the Cold War, kind of what happened with Islamic fundamentalists? Who was supplying stuff to Islamic fundamentalists in Afghanistan, for example? The United States, exactly. So we saw that the origins of these terrorist organizations came from the Cold War. In Afghanistan, we gave a bunch of money to an organization that eventually became the Taliban. Yes, exactly. Yeah, good. All right, India. If you need to know one specific country for the AP and for the test, how it became independent, it's India. I want you to talk to your neighbor. How did India become independent? And what are some problems after independence in India or on the Indian subcontinent? Talk to your neighbor. All right. So, who's the big fat daddy nationalist for, well, he's not fat because he didn't, anyway. So who's the major leader of Indian independence, the major Hindu leader of independence? Yeah, Gandhi. Yeah, so Gandhi, how is he going to get independence in India? Yes, by civil disobedience. Great, great, great. So after independence, what happened to the Indian subcontinent? Yeah. Yeah, there were new states, and what do we call that dividing of India into new states? Yeah. The partition of India, exactly. So, what are these new states largely based on? What kind of is the base of these new states? Yeah. Exactly. Kind of these new states are based on religious identity. Pakistan and Bangladesh, primarily Muslim countries. India, primarily Hindu country. And we did see that in order to make those majorities, there's a large movement of people. There's a big refugee crisis after the partition of India. Pakistanis going to India, Indians going to Pakistan, for example. All right. So what are some ways that countries got their independence generally? There are 3 ways countries got their independence. What's one way? Yeah. So civil disobedience, to force a country to declare their independence, to negotiate for independence. What's another way a country got its independence? Yeah. Violence. However, what ended economic imperialism? What was a strategy used by some economic nationalists, Jacob? Nationalization, exactly. What does nationalization mean? Yeah. So a government taking ownership of what type of business? Who controls that business? Carter. A foreign business. So nationalization, a government taking ownership of a foreign business. Any questions so far, by the way? Sorry. All right. What are some problems in countries after independence? Talk to your neighbor. What are some problems after independence in Africa and Asia? Any problems at all? Talk to your neighbor. What problems? So, what are difficulties after independence? Economically, socially.
So basically,
All right.
Oh.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So what are some difficulties after independence, economically or socially? I heard a few people say an economic one. Yeah. Awesome. So there's a high wealth inequality. That's a big economic problem. What are other problems in African and Asian countries? Yeah. Political instability, and political instability tends to lead to mass atrocities. What's an example of a mass atrocity in Africa in the 1990s? Yeah. The Rwandan genocide. So kind of ethnic conflict is a consequence of or after independence. Economically, we saw high wealth inequality. What did we see continue in African and Asian countries? Even though they're technically independent, what are their economies like after independence? What thing continues? What thing might continue where a country has overwhelming economic control over an independent country? Yeah. Economic imperialism, exactly. Great. Why after World War II do we see decolonization? What's the reason for why after World War II we see that happen? Yes.
So like European nations.
Europe broke. Colonialism machine broke. We need to end that. We're going to grant independence. Great. All right, what's apartheid? Just remind me. Someone, what's apartheid? Yeah.
No. It's not Africa.
Racial segregation in South Africa, exactly. Part of that was the building of these reservations called Bantustans. Great. What might be similar between South Africa and the United States in the 1960s, considering the fact that apartheid exists? Yeah. So yeah, there's racial discrimination, and to combat that, there are civil rights movements. Yes, exactly. What? The 1860s. Who cares about the American Civil War in the 20th century? Flick yourself in the head for me. Okay. So some continuities in Latin America are going to include things like economic imperialism, like Catholicism, like political inequality. Great. So what is economic nationalism? We've already done this, but just remind me, what's economic nationalism? There are two things economic nationalists want. Yes. Yeah, a government takes control over a foreign-owned business. And what else do economic nationalists do? Especially guys like Juan Perón, Fidel Castro. Yeah.
I want to grant social welfare.
Social welfare programs, exactly. That's kind of the two things from economic nationalism. Talk to your neighbor, what's perestroika, and what are some causes of the end of the Cold War? Talk to your neighbor, what's perestroika?
You weren't here. Where is the day you were here? Oh, the day I wasn't in chapter 5.
I don't know. I don't know. I have no idea. I have no idea what we did on Friday.
Oh, yeah.
And you need to do that.
I need to do it?
Yes. Check on Canvas. It was due today. All right. What's perestroika? What's perestroika? Yeah, sorry. Economic liberalization done by Mikhail Gorbachev. Gorbachev. How can you tell if Gorbachev is in a political cartoon? He's got a big ass birthmark on his head. Yeah. Economic liberalization. And how are some things that caused the end of the Cold War? What's the thing that ended the Cold War? The very immediate thing that ended the Cold War. Yeah.
It was the fall of the.
Yeah, the fall of the Soviet Union, exactly. So why did the Soviet Union collapse? What are some reasons for that? Yeah, Austin, what's one?
It's in the Gorbachev one, I forgot what one, but it was like they allowed other different parties.
Yeah. Glasnost allows for multiple political parties. The communists are voted out of office. Any other causes of why the Soviets going down? Yeah. That we talked about in class? Yeah. They couldn't invade Afghanistan. They failed in Afghanistan. They failed their economy. And why is the Soviet Union bankrupt? What's kind of the American reason for why the Soviets are going bankrupt? Yeah.
We're gonna rearm.
Exactly. There's a missile race that starts back up again. What ended when Ronald Reagan became president? What kind of Cold War policy ended when Reagan became president? It starts with a D. Yeah. Détente ended. That cooling of tensions ended when Reagan came to power. Great. All right. There's a couple of questions about a manga stand in Japan, actually, kind of funnily enough. All right. What was Japan's government like after World War II? Yeah. Capitalist. It was a democracy. Great. So that's what Japan looks like after World War II. Great, 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 great. Oh, that's pretty obvious. All right. A population graph. Line go up. What do you think the answer is? Yeah. The Green Revolution. Agriculture, yeah. All right. What's a new energy resource in the 20th century that people are using? There's two, yeah, it's champa rice. Good job. Yeah. What are two energy resources that we're using in the 20th century? Yeah. What? Petroleum and big boom.
Nuclear.
Atomic, yeah, nuclear, atomic, whatever. So more oil production, population's going up, and we see, yeah, those are the two big things. All right. We talked about China already. Talked about that. All right. So in countries with higher income versus countries with lower income, we see that there are different diseases impacting these places. And why are people getting wait, no, hold on. What are some of the diseases kind of that impact higher income countries more? What are some of those diseases? Yeah. Heart disease, Alzheimer's, old age. People are living longer in high income countries versus in low income countries. What are some of the big diseases there? Yeah. Tuberculosis. Not really. It's eradicated in the 1970s. Any other diseases? Diarrhea, malaria, whatever. Same thing. Oh, yeah. All right. What are some positive and negative impacts of globalization? Talk to your neighbor. Any positive or negative impacts of globalization? Yeah. All right. What might be some positive effects of globalization? What are any positive effects of globalization? Austin can't be the only one answering questions. What's a positive thing? Yeah. More communication. Woo, social media. Yay. What's another positive thing about globalization? Yeah. Whoa, there's new stuff. What do you mean by new stuff?
Well, there's better technology being circulated.
So kind of we see the diffusion of technology, like stuff from the Green Revolution. Any other positive impacts? Yeah.
More trade.
More trade? Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah, what else? There's new medicine that's being spread around. Anything else that's going on? Any other positive things? Yeah, Addie, sorry. Diffusion of different cultures. Anything else, Bella? What might be a positive economic thing other than more trade going on? Oh, wow, there's a factory relocating to.
Oh, yeah.
So multinational businesses, but for the people living in these new countries with the factories, there's jobs, new disposable income. Great. What might be a negative effect of globalization? Yeah. What? Pollution, yeah, because of more stuff as well. Deindustrialization. So there's job loss in North America, for example. Any other negative things? Yeah. So a more homogenized culture, erasure of individualized culture. Anything else? Outsourcing, deindustrialization. So job loss. That's a not positive thing. Yeah. Disease being spread. Woo, yay, COVID. All right. All right. So that's basically all of the big things. Are there specific Are there specific questions of kind of any of the content? Yes.
A on version. What?
Can you say it one more time, please?
7A on version.
7A on version A. What's your answer? What's your? I'm not gonna tell you what it is. You have to.
Can you read the question?
No, I'm not gonna read the question. It's A, B, C, or D. A, no, it's not. A. All right. All right, any other questions that aren't that one? Yes.
Who are the other leaders? I mean, no.
Cárdenas, Perón, and Castro. All three of these guys are economic nationalists, one way or the other. All right, any other questions? Yes,
Can you repeat that?
if everyone could shut up, because I am literally giving you tips. Perón, Cárdenas, Castro, they're all economic nationalists.
Middle Eastern that.
There are two kind of types. There's Arab nationalism, which is secular, which is non-aligned, so it's neither communist nor capitalist. Then there's Islamic fundamentalism. That's religious-based nationalism, basically. So ethnic, religious nationalism. What?
Party. Are they kind of?
They're neither. They're non-aligned. Yeah, exactly. Any other questions? Yeah, Ben.
Do we need to know like specific civil disobedience movements in India or things?
No, just Gandhi. Yeah. You know what civil disobedience is, you're fine. Any other questions? All right, well, if there are none, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Go away. Have a great day.